So here's a weird problem with STLs and wargames. STL sculptors are ridiculously good at what they do, and we end up with whole sets of models for less than a fifth of what a whole box of 5 models might be physically packaged on a sprue. All of them are usually amazing sculpts with lots of character between them, so we can end up with favorite sculpts out of these massive groups of STLs.
For example, I really like this mercenary from the Empire faction, out this month from One Page Rules. Lots of layers of clothes and belts and accessories, a stern look and a great haircut. Posed like she's got some skills and knows what she's doing. But she's just one part of the mercenaries unit, which is just one unit out of all these others like the mortar and the rocket battery, the beamer wagon, which sounds really fancy, the captain on Pegasus, which is fancy, and the chimeric summoning, which is just all out huge. How's one little merc supposed to stick out? All of these STLs and more are available on the One Page Rules Patreon this month, and I'll tell you how. Let's turn her into a character using something else we can get from the One Page Rules Patreon, the Age of Fantasy Quest beta rules.
Now I'm going to have to be sly with this because the rules do come as part of the Patreon and aren't available for free on the website yet. So I can't just list off all the rules, so I'm going to have to talk in generalities. Oh, and because this is ultimately a painting video, after we get the character built, I'm going to show a few ways to add character to the model too, on top of a standard paint job.
So to build a character for Quest, I first need to pick a name. One easy way to get a name is to just pick any normal name and change something in it to make it new. So I took Emma and made it Emra. Then for a last name, I like old occupation last names, like the Baker family, because they were bakers. Going with that idea, I'll have her come from a family of gunsmiths. I also need to decide their stats. There's 3 ability stats: strength, dexterity, and will. These will be for various tests, as the name suggests. They all start at 6+, but we do get 2 points we can lower them by. So based on the abilities they're used for, I'm going to improve strength by 1 and dexterity by 1. Next we've got our combat stats, and some of these will be more familiar to one-pagers. We got quality and defense, but also endurance and toughness. We start off with 5+ for quality, 6+ for defense, 3 endurance, and 9 toughness. We have the option of taking more skills or improving quality or endurance. I do have a combo idea with skills, but the first skill I'm picking does need to hit, so I'm going to take an extra point in quality for a 4+, and get the other skills I'd like later in the campaign. Speaking of skills, there's one I had my eye on to help Emra become a barrage of bullets like her twin guns suggest, and that's Snapshot, which lets you take an extra shot for killing enemies. Traits are optional, but they are a way to add character to a model rules-wise, but they have to balance out. Some traits self-balance, so I'm going to take one of those, Impatient, so Emra gets to move extra, but can't focus. Last thing to do is hit the shop. All characters start with 100 gold for their gear. I'm going to grab both her pistols, but she also has a couple of daggers, so one-handed weapon gives her 2 attacks, which is fitting for the model. And she doesn't really have any armor, so I'm going to have a really bad defense. So to make up for that, I'll have to get her an expensive health potion too.
The name of the game now is getting some more character into the character's model to really make them stand out as not just another foot soldier.
So I've painted her up pretty standardly so far, just following the scheme from my latest Empire video. I left a few things to do though, because I want to make some of them stand out way more. Starting with adding some style, I'm going to paint up her hair. This is a really easy one to make something look special. There's natural hair colors like brown, blonde, and black that help to make a model blend in. But if you want to make something stand out, this is a great place to do it. So I'm going to make her hair a vibrant magenta something that really cuts through the other colors. So I've got purple, magenta, and white on my palette to start. I'll make some mixes going from purple to magenta, while using the white just to mess with the shade, making sure it's also going from dark to light. So it's not just adding more white to the mixes to get it brighter. First I change the hue, then I lighten it with the white. I repainted it gray just so I had something light to start over, because purple's not a very opaque color, but I do a few base coats of the purple to get something solid. Now the way the hair is sculpted, it has easily paintable individual strands, so it'll be simple enough to just layer up the next two colors, one after the other, the one covering the top of the strands, and the next one just the bottom half. The last highlight is going to be the light reflection, so in the middle between the top and bottom of the hair strands in a line through the middle to give it that light reflection. Another way to add some character to a model is to give it some flair. Usually this comes in the form of tattoos or freehand tapestries on a cloak, but she doesn't have enough skin showing for a tattoo and no cloak. So I'm going to instead do something a little subtle. The back of her jacket is a pretty big canvas I can draw something on, and since I sort of have a sense of humor and I feel like she would as well, I thought a target on her back would be kind of funny. So I'm going to mix up a different hue of green to what her jacket is. While her jacket is a bit cool, I'm going to make the green a bit more warm using a warm blue, a warm yellow, and reds to create a green with a much different hue, then make it a bit lighter or darker for base and highlights. I'll start with the base to get something solid. Now to make it easy on myself, I don't want this target perfectly center, so I'm going to be off center on purpose as a style choice. So I start with one large round dot and just paint a couple of rings around that. Then fill those lines in again to be more thicker and even, letting it get cut off at the sleeve. Now that I've got the base, the rest becomes pretty simple. Just draw in my next color up, keeping the shadows anywhere the fabric folds, doing my best to follow the original paint of the jacket so that its color seems like it's just blending in with the fabric and not a patch of some kind. Same goes for the highlights. Just follow what was done on the original jacket, but only in the area of the freehand, trying to get it right up to the edges of the pattern to make sure it looks seamless. And there we go, a subtle bit of freehand that doesn't need to be perfect, but give just that little bit of extra something to the model. The last thing I can do to give her some experience is to get her a little dirty. Battle damage is good for things made out of heavy armor, but in her case it's all mostly clothing, so we have to go the other route with more gore and mud. So I put a buffet of contrast paints out in colors I think would make some good stains. I painted the undershirt light for the reason of showing off some stains, and it's as easy as just adding a dot of the contrast to a small area. Yellow is good as something like grease, while green can work to be grass stains or some other kind of monster fluid that got on her. I put the red on here just for a little blood. Now I don't want to saturate her with it, just a few dots in a line like a splatter going onto her coat is all I need for that, and boom, instant character and story in a paint job. For the dirt and mud, instead of just using some contrast, I'm going to get some water too for my special ingredient. That ingredient is pigment powder. This stuff is kind of fun and interesting, but for actually making it usable, I've got to mix in some kind of binder, like the contrast, and some water to thin it out and make sure it does pool and lets the pigment powder dry in its special way. To get it on, well, it's mud, so it'll be pretty random about the brush movements, and get it into places that would have lots of mud, mostly around her boots, but we can get some on the jacket too, near the bottom rim, maybe even some on her skin, just to make her that little extra dirty. And you can see when it dries, it actually comes out looking way more opaque and way more dusty, which gives us a dried mud effect. Because, well, I mean, some pigments really are just special types of dirt, so all I've done is make real mud look like fake mud. Now, to be perfectly honest, there's nothing stopping me from transferring these kind of painting characteristics to a full unit either. I think my point though was just to show that there's ways of using paint to make any sculpt, no matter how normal it is, special. And something like Age of Fantasy Quest that is models agnostic means there's a way to include your favorite sculpts from among terabytes of STLs from hundreds of creators into something on the table. Please subscribe if you like this video, and check the link in the description to my Discord where I talk all sorts of nonsense about miniatures painting, provide critique on paint jobs, and occasionally stream.